Franco Barbi. Gangster and murderer. A trafficker. Franco was a man-child who would use heroin to infantilize the world. His psyche centered around a totem.
Franco Barbi is one of the most disturbing people that reagents will have the misfortune to encounter during the events of the game The Outlast Trials. A former gangster assassin turned prime asset degenerate, Barbi would draw the attention of Murkoff after opportunistically killing civilians in Cuba during one of their covert reagent missions. These murders would put the gangster on Murkoff's radar, eventually leading to his capture and introduction into the perverse world of the Sinyala facility.
What the fuck are you crying about? You get caught with your hand in the cookie jar? You get fucked sideways to hell!
The story of Franco Barbi as we know it begins with his birth to an unknown mother and ruthless father by the name of Salvatore Barbi. Head of the New Orleans-based Martino crime family, Salvatore would largely put his duties as a mafia don above his duties as a parent. He would see his only son Franco as somewhat of a burden, routinely beating him for his failings in a vicious habit that would only exacerbate a cranial birth defect. Despite this strained relationship, however, Franco would be folded into the crime family at a young age, his first murder coming before he would even hit his teens, an event that would leave the young man even more deformed, as the butt of the shotgun he would use would blow back on the left side of his face, cracking bones and breaking teeth. For Franco, though, the further damage was a paltry side effect to the pride his father would show him afterwards. In fact, many mafiosos would mark it as the only time Salvatore would show his son compassion of any kind, a reaction that Franco would chase as he would become the official assassin for the family. Throughout his teen years, Franco would become excessively prolific with his new occupation. His brutality would make him a pariah even among fellow killers, and soon he would take these murders beyond necessity and into the extracurricular. Rumor was that Franco struggled with erectile dysfunction, and out of shame or anger would take out his inadequacies on the working girls of the whorehouses he would so often frequent. He would operate like this for years around New Orleans, the well-fortified connections of his father staving off any repercussions for his cruel and bloody behavior. However, eventually this understanding would fall apart in an even more depraved scandal. In the Martino Mafia, the popular story was that Franco had become so untenable for his father that the police were threatening investigations despite Salvatore's strong connections. In reality, though, the truth for the Mafia Don was far more embarrassing. Behind his back, his fourth wife had been having a strange affair with his son. Franco had finally found a woman who could break him of his erectile issues through means of utter humiliation. This sexual discovery would not only have a profound effect on his proclivities moving forward, but also completely shatter any rapport he had remaining with his father. Salvatore would beat his son mercilessly over the betrayal, taking him to the edge of death before promising to finish the job if he ever stepped foot back in New Orleans. The altercation causing Franco to seek refuge in Miami, where he would continue his disgusting lifestyle, now under the supervision of new management. Despite the expulsion from his father's crime family, Franco still had contacts within the CIA. His father partially owned a Cuban casino, which was an active CIA Black Book asset, and through that, Franco would get wrapped up with the Cuban counter-revolutionaries in Florida. With the CIA's backing, he would participate in multiple raids on Cuban soil, slaughtering as many people as he could, just as he had back in New Orleans. This thirst for death was so strong that in the end he was deemed too extreme for the organization and would be expelled once more from service. Before leaving Cuba, however, an unexpected opportunity would rear its head, as a reagent sent in to assassinate a target would inspire him to capitalize on the chaos.
Spider, I, lamb.
Ever the opportunist, Franco would kill 7 people during the panic, elevating the situation into a full-scale fiasco for Murkoff. Their reagent had done as anticipated, but before all the details could emerge, Franco's actions had caused some of Sinyala's backers to get antsy. To assuage these concerns and find out why their process had faltered, Murkoff would investigate the scene to find out about the former gangster's involvement, putting Franco Barbi directly in their crosshairs. They would send a collections agent named Clyde Perry to track down this wanted menace back in Florida. Starting with some former connections of his, Perry would get a tip that Franco, or Il Bambino as some called him, was likely holding up with a prostitute named Honey Island Jenny at the Runaway Inn Motel. Following this lead, he would find the bloated, cut-open corpse of Jenny, but no sign of his mark. That is, until he went to call headquarters, when Barbi would emerge from the mutilated corpse, fully nude and covered in blood. This disgusting sight would understandably stun Perry into inaction, allowing Franco to get the upper hand, badly wounding the agent before the commotion would draw the attention of another patron who would catch the killer's ire. Perry would manage to escape in the chaos, getting aid for his injuries and filing a report that this depraved little assassin was a perfect prime asset candidate for Project Lave, a sentiment that Dr. Easterman would wholeheartedly agree with. Franco Barbi is perhaps the most disturbed and easily the most perverse person that has found a home at Murkoff's Sinyala facility. Heir to a mafia empire, Franco would be raised in an environment where killing was not only accepted, but applauded and encouraged. Throughout his life of degeneracy, he would fall ever deeper into depravity, to the point where the only things that would satiate him were blood and his perverted desire to be treated like a child. Franco was destined to be broken, fated to be incorrigible, and somehow, despite a life dedicated to the despicable, he's found a place that emboldens and even cherishes his skin-crawling lifestyle.
Back here! I'm gonna fuck that exit wound! Stick this up your fucking ass!